All right, welcome back. Now, here's another example of a trinomial, but it doesn't look like a quadratic trinomial, but notice what was the first thing I said last time. Always look for a greatest common factor. So the first thing I'm going to look at is I look at the coefficients. There's definitely a common factor here of 5. Okay, so if I factor out a 5, right? And then also look at the x's and y's. Do they have an x in common? Yes, they all have at least one x in common. Do they have y's in common? No, there's no y here. So I can't factor out a y, but I can factor out an x. And the smallest exponent that I can factor out, or largest exponent I can factor out, if you will, is the x variable. So I can factor out an x from each one of those, but I can't factor out anything larger than x. Or anything with a higher exponent, I should say. So 5x, so now what I'm left over once I factor out the greatest common factor is 2x squared plus 21 xy minus 11 y squared. Oops. Okay, now, if I look at this here, okay, it is quadratic in x, right? But it's also quadratic in y. Okay, so how do we go about doing this? Well, we're going to do it the exact same way that we did before, looking at the technique, trial and error technique that we were talking about before. Okay, so now, if we look at the first and last term, there's an x squared here, and there's a y squared here. So we know that there's going to be an x and a y. Right? Because x times x will give us x squared, y times y will give us y squared. So the first two terms give us that, and the last two terms give us that. And so now what we have to do is, well, here we've got 2, which is prime number. So the only factors of 2 is going to be 1 and 2. So if we put an x, 1 here, and we'll put 2 here, okay? Now, if we look at the minus 11 here, well, what are the factors of minus 11? It could be 1 and negative 11, or it could be negative 1 and 11. Okay, or they could be switched, right? So in this case here, what do we end up with? Well, we end up with different things to work out. So we have x, and so we get x. Oh, and by the way, right, so it could be, okay, so let's do it this way. It could be, so we'll get, again, how do I want to do this? Yeah, so we could, y, so we could do plus and then minus 11y, or we could get x minus 11y times 2x plus y, right? So we had 1 and negative 11, or negative 11 and 1. But then we also can have this, we could have the -1 here. Instead of 1, we could have -1. So we could have 1, or x minus y, and 2x plus 11y. Or finally, we could have x plus 11y times 2x minus y. Okay, and so what we're going to do is, again, we'd have to multiply these out and see if we get 21xy. Okay, so again, if we look at the outer and the inner, right, so this will give us -11 plus 2, right, so they all give us x and y, so xy, xy, right, so that matches. So all of these will give us xy for the middle term. Okay, it's just a matter of looking at which one gives us 21. So -11 plus 2 doesn't do it. 1 minus 22 doesn't do it. Oh, wait, hold on. 1, nope, that doesn't do it because it's negative. We want positive, which means that, guess what? It's probably going to be this one. So this one won't do it. So because, again, that'll give us 11 minus 2. But here we'll get positive 22 with a -1, which will give us positive 21. So the bottom one gives us the correct answer. All right? All right. Have a great day.